if I can at all find it. When you're dealing with canned green beans, make sure that you look out for stems. Sometimes I find those in the canned green beans. These are just store-bought canned green beans. But if you have your own from home, you know, that you've canned yourself, by all means use those. And this is just, all I'm gonna do, this could not be simpler, is let that simmer. The longer, the better. So I'm just gonna let those beans soak up that bacon flavoring on like medium high heat. Now, another side dish that we love is corn casserole. So here's my spin on corn casserole. In this dish, I have a stick of butter that I'm gonna melt. And you can use either sour cream or cream cheese. I'm gonna use cream cheese today. And I've got half of a package of cream cheese, which is 4 ounces. And I'm gonna cube this because I'm gonna soften it and melt it in with that butter. Corn casserole is a delicious side dish with any meal, but it goes really well at Thanksgiving, and it's just a tradition. I have to cook corn casserole at Thanksgiving. So this is how I do mine. And corn was served on the first Thanksgiving. You know, the first Thanksgiving, the settlers that had come over, you know, I forget the amount, but a great majority of them starved to death that first year. So that's the next following year when they were here, the local Indians brought in a harvest, and then the settlers joined with them, the remaining settlers, and they had a celebration. And one of the things that we know was served, or we strongly suspect was served, let me say that, is corn. They called it maize. Now, I'm sure it wasn't corn casserole, but some kind of corn, either, you know, dried corn made into hominy or some kind of a dish with corn. So at my home, you gotta have some form of corn. I'm just gonna let that melt. Now, you will need a baking dish of some sort. This could not be simpler, I'm telling you. It just could not be simpler. I have 1 can of whole kernel corn. You could use frozen thawed corn if you wanted. And 1 can of cream style corn. You can double this if you want to. And I want to stir those together. Find a spoon here. Just to combine the 2 different corns. I'm gonna add some salt and pepper because I buy the no sodium added vegetables when I can, like green beans and corn. Those are really about the only 2 canned vegetables, other than beets. I do like canned beets that I like, but I do use these quite a bit. That was some salt, some pepper, and some garlic powder. Then I'm gonna add 1 package of cornbread mix, just the dry cornbread mix. Gonna stir that in a little bit. Wait till my butter melts. This is absolutely delicious, and it could not be simpler. And again, if you don't want to use the cream cheese, you can use sour cream, like 4 ounces or so of sour cream, half a cup. And you can double this if you want to. I just kind of want that to melt a little bit, the butter. The cream cheese doesn't have to melt totally. And that's good. And we're gonna pour that over it, making sure to distribute those cream cheese cubes. They'll melt in the oven. And we will stir that together, get that butter in there. See how the cream cheese is already starting to soften and blend into the mixture? It's so good. Oh, I am a messy cook. I know I say that every program, but it's the truth. I'm a messy cook. That's okay, it cleans up. It's just part of it for me. Now, you just want to stir that all together, make sure the butter gets incorporated and you don't have any dry cornbread mixture. Spread it out, 350 degrees or so. That will need to bake for about 45 minutes. So let's get this in the oven. And at about 40 minutes, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add some cheese on top. But for right now, we're just gonna let it bake for just a little while, and that will be delicious. Another traditional food that is served at Thanksgiving is sweet potatoes. Now, my mom always made the sweet potatoes with the brown sugar and the marshmallows on top. And I have tried and tried and tried to duplicate her recipe, and I can't. I guess I watched her make it umpteen times, but you know, I think moms cook with love, and I think there's just a difference in the flavor. So I've just kind of had to change my sweet potato recipe. So what I do is roast my sweet potatoes, one of the ways. And I make, you know, sweet potato casseroles and different kinds of things. But one of the things that I love are roasted fresh sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are one of the healthiest things you can eat. Now, I've got 4 on here, and I'm just gonna peel a couple more. You could scrub them and leave the peelings on if you wanted to, because there are a lot of vitamins and minerals in that skin and just underneath the skin. I find children, especially, don't like to eat the skin. We grown-ups don't seem to mind to eat the potato skins, but the kids don't want to. So I'm gonna peel it for all the children out there. But if yours likes it, by all means, leave it on there. But this is a good way to get your kids to eat sweet potatoes because they almost become candied. They're naturally sweet, but then what I'm gonna add on top just makes them taste even better. So I'm gonna peel these. Sweet potatoes are full of vitamins and minerals, and they are a traditional Thanksgiving dish. Now, did you know, a lot of people mistakenly call these yams. These are not yams. The sweet potatoes that we know here in America are not true yams. True yams are another product altogether. They're much starchier. Oop, my green beans are going. Now, once they come up to a simmer onto the green beans, I like to kind of turn down the heat a little bit, take the lid off, leave just a little bit of room for some steam to escape, because that reduces those juices and makes those green beans taste even better. But back to the sweet potatoes. Yams are a much starchier vegetable altogether, and it's actually very rarely seen here in the American supermarket. Sometimes in a Latin supermarket or maybe a Cuban store, you might find yams, but they're really not found too often in the American supermarkets. So these are not yams. Sweet potatoes are not yams. A lot of people call them yams, but they're not. So as I cut these into wedges, I'm just going to get them on my lined baking sheet. Now you want to make sure that your baking sheet is lined, because these are going to caramelize, and I personally don't enjoy scrubbing pots. If you do, you don't need to line your sheet. But if you don't, like I don't, then you're going to want to make sure that your baking sheet is lined. And just cutting them into wedges. You could cut them into circles if you wanted to. Be careful, work on a nice board, fingers out of the way, cut them in half, and then cut them in half again. Depending on the size, you might get, you know, 2 or 3 cuts on one. Try to find a flatter surface. Cut them in half. Watch your fingers. This one's wide, so I'll do it in 3. I love sweet potatoes. There we go. Tell me, what are some of your dishes for Thanksgiving? You know, this is one of those holidays. You don't mess with tradition. Now, you can add in some new things slowly if you want to. At least in my house, you do not mess with tradition. If I try to do something different, one year, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, I made a different kind of stuffing. You would have thought the world had ended because I made a different kind of stuffing. It's like, no, Mom, that's not what you normally make. So we have traditions in our house, so we just don't vary from that too much on holidays. This is just some canola oil. You could use vegetable oil. You could use olive oil if you wanted to. Just want to lightly coat those sweet potatoes. I like to keep my oil in a little squeezy tube. And then I'm just gonna sprinkle them with a little bit of cinnamon. We're gonna stir all this together. You could do this in a separate bowl, but why? When you can do it on a sheet and then you don't have to have another bowl to wash, because we have enough dishes to wash at Thanksgiving, don't we? So we just try to make it as easy as possible. Make sure they're coated with oil and flat on the baking sheet at this point. And each one has a little cinnamon. If you need to use 2 different trays, use 2 different trays. And then we're going to sprinkle them with a little bit of salt. I use kosher salt in cooking, period. The only time that I ever use the table salt that we're used to is with brining, because it dissolves quicker. But for cooking purposes, I always use kosher salt. And then we're gonna add just a little bit. Now, the reason I did not put this on there before was because if I did, it would all just go to the tray. So what I like to do is just take some light brown sugar and sprinkle over top once I have them coated. Give each one a little room between if you can. Make sure every potato has some brown sugar on it. And what this will do is caramelize in the oven and just be fabulous. So I'm just gonna get these in the oven at the same time as and temperature as the corn casserole. And when I come back, I'm gonna take a quick break, kind of clean up here. When I come back, we are gonna make a delicious side salad to go along with your Thanksgiving feast. I'll be right back in just a minute. Alrighty, now we are about to be ready to eat. We have our corn casserole that baked for about 45 minutes. I took it out of the oven. You will know it's ready to go when the center is no longer jiggly. Then I'm gonna add I'm just using some assorted cheddar cheeses here. White cheddar and yellow cheddar, and you can use Colby Jack, you can use Monterey, you can use whatever kind of cheese that you like. That needs to go back in the oven in just a second for about 10 minutes. Now, we're gonna do a quick side dish that is so delicious. This could be served as an appetizer or as a side dish, and it couldn't be easier. This is just a wheel of brie cheese. Now, the outer part of this cheese is called the rind. It's completely edible, but some people don't like it. So you can take a peeler, and I'm gonna forget that bowl, and just take it and peel that off if you want to, or you don't have to do that. You can completely leave the rind on. It is edible. I don't mind it, but some people don't like it. So I'm gonna get some of it off, and I'm not gonna worry about most of it. Just get it kind of off the side. I don't mind it. Place your cheese in a baking dish that's oven safe. Let me get this out of the way. And then, I love brie cheese topped with so many different things, but I like it topped with just store-bought pumpkin butter. You could use chutney, you could use apple butter, you could use fig jam, you could use whatever you want. But this is pumpkin butter. You could even top it with the whole berry cranberry sauce that you buy. That would be delicious. And I'm gonna use the whole jar. You just wanna warm this through. That's all we're doing, is just warming the brie through. And of course, the pumpkin butter will melt on top of it. And that needs to bake about 15 minutes or so at the same time that your corn casserole is getting its cheese melted. Now, for our salad, I just purchased some greens. I like the spring greens, or you could use butter lettuce. You could use any kind of salad mix that you like. The key to this is the dressing and the little tangerines. You know, this time of year, you get those, sometimes they're called cuties, sometimes they're called Satsuma tangerines, just some kind of a tangerine. You could even use the canned or the jarred tangerine, mandarin orange wedges, whatever you have. But this time of year, Thanksgiving and Christmas, this stuff is in season. And it's just so good, and I love citrus. So I'm gonna actually use some fresh segments on top of my salad. You need 5 or 6 of the little small tangerines. And separate them over top of the salad, and that way if any of the juice comes out, it's going in your salad. So we'll do another one. Put as much or as little as you like. Now in this bowl, I've just added a couple of other toppings that people can add as they want. Now I really like pomegranate seeds in this salad, but my store did not have any fresh pomegranates when I went grocery shopping the other day, and they did have the little seeds in the dairy department, or not in the dairy department, but in the produce department. However, that little container of seeds was $6.99, and that's too much money. So I found pomegranate flavored dried cranberries, which are delicious. So that's what that is, and that's just some slivered almonds. And that way your guests can top this however they want. Now I've got one more orange here that I'm going to put my segments on my salad, and we're gonna make a fresh, bright dressing to go with our salad. I love salad. I eat it all the time, pretty much with every meal, because I really do like salad, and I like it in lots of different ways. Now, for the we've also got a red pepper here that you can add for some color and some crunch and vitamins and minerals. So I'm just gonna slice up some thin slices of red pepper. You could leave this out if you don't like red peppers. My green beans, I took the lid completely off of the green beans, and I brought them up to a strong boil. They've been simmering for a while, but I want them to let those juices reduce. So I'm gonna add that to my salad. It just looks pretty too. Now, in this bowl, I have about ½ a cup of olive oil. I'm gonna add some fresh orange juice to that, some dried tarragon. If you have fresh tarragon, add some tarragon. Because we do have some potentially bitterish flavors going on here, I'm gonna add a little bit of sugar. And of course some salt and some fresh lemon juice. With my little squeezer. Ooh, that's a good juicy lemon. You could also use the zest if you wanted to. That was a good lemon. We want to whisk that up. And that's it. Just a bright, delicious dressing for your salad. And our sweet potato wedges are done. Don't dress your salad till just before you're ready to serve it. You could add some fresh parsley to this too if you wanted to. The flat leaf parsley. There's our wonderful, easy, quick, homemade dressing to go on our salad. Just a bright flavor to your dinner. Now, our green beans are done. So let's get them served up. Look at those. My Aaron would be very happy to see this. He loves green beans. So one vegetable that child will really eat, and a lot of them, besides potatoes. He does like green beans. And I'm glad he likes green beans. And this is his favorite way to have green beans. It's so odd. If you've watched my show, you know I'm messy, but I love vegetables of all kinds. One time, it's been, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, I made green beans, but I used fresh green beans in the summer. You know how you go to the farmer's market or the grocery store, and they've got those delicious green beans that are fresh, and I cooked them just like I do this, but I used the fresh ones. He tasted them, and he was like, Mom, they're good, but they're not the same. What did you do different? And I said, well, they're fresh green beans, honey. He said, I prefer the other kind. So guess what Aaron gets from now on? And honestly, your canned vegetables and your frozen vegetables typically are processed immediately after picking, so they really don't lose a whole lot of their vitamin and mineral content, but there is a vitamin and mineral content. I'm running out of room here. Now there's our green beans and our wonderful salad, and look at these sweet potato wedges. They are caramelized and they are delicious. And then we've got some wonderful crackers that we're gonna serve with our brie. So now we just need to get the corn casserole and the brie out of the oven. Okay, now here is our finished Thanksgiving side buffet. Now, you could cook these, obviously, any day of the year. We've got our wonderful green beans that we just cooked with some bacon and the drippings, our delicious corn casserole, our baked brie with the pumpkin butter on it, served with just some crackers of any kind, or you could use some apple slices or pear slices or just crackers or whatever you want. Then we've got our wonderful roasted caramelized sweet potato wedges and our delicious easy salad with our citrusy tangerine type dressing and our tarragon in that. And then here I just have some extra little toppings that people can add to their salad if they want. This is the pomegranate sun-dried, or not sun-dried, but the pomegranate dried cranberry, the craisins that are pomegranate flavored, and just some sliced almonds, some slivered almonds. It's nice when you have a Thanksgiving buffet type meal, or even a sit-down meal, to have things for a salad separate, because not everybody likes everything. So that's a great way to have, you know, a buffet set up. You could even put your little orange segment, your little tangerine segments, and your red pepper in another dish and keep that separate. But I just combined it for today's show. But here are just some easy things that you can serve with your Thanksgiving dinner. And remember that Thanksgiving is a time of celebration. Yes, it started to celebrate the provisions that God gave the earliest settlers of our country when they came together with the Indians and they had the first Thanksgiving. It is celebrated as a national holiday. But of course, we want to remember to take the time to give thanks to our Heavenly Father who provided the bounty that is set before us, that's set before you each and every day. I want to say thank you to all of you, and I do give thanks to all of you who watch Everyday Manna and Living Faith Television, because it is for you that we do this program. And I give thanks to God because the inspiration comes from Him. This is all dedicated to Him. So from our family here at Living Faith Television, the staff and the behind-the-scenes people of Everyday Manna, as well as myself, Mike, Austin, and Aaron, we do want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. Remember to share it with those that you love, and maybe if you know someone who's going to be alone this Thanksgiving, ask them to join you and your family for your Thanksgiving, and give thanks to your Heavenly Father for the bountiful blessings that He has given you in your life. Thank you for joining with me. Happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see you next time on Everyday Manna.
Thank you for watching Everyday Mana with Lisa. This program is made possible by viewers like you. Your support is continually needed to keep Christian programming on the air. Please send your best financial gift to Living Faith Television in care of Everyday Mana, P.O. Box 1867, Abingdon, Virginia, 24212.
It's an absolute nightmare.
I was terrified. It was like your head's gonna explode.
Migraine is a disabling disease.
Just all of a sudden couldn't see.
Migraine has ruined my life.
Absolutely terrifying.
There's pain that does not stop.
I feel like I'm dying.
There's thunder and lightning.
It's a throbbing, pulsing, banging, hammering feeling in your head.
36 million Americans suffer.
I started getting migraines around 5 years old.
Just takes over everything.
I feel trapped by migraine.
It hurts like my head's gonna fall off.
And the whole world around you stops.
My world has gotten small.
You feel like the world's closing in on you. There's nothing you can do.
I had spent a year housebound. It's like you're trapped in your head. There's no escaping it. You can't leave your body.
Don't suffer alone. Make your move against migraine. Learn more. Find help. Get connected. The American Migraine Foundation.
More than just a song to sing, more than words and offerings. I need your presence.